Hi, I'm Congressman Scott Perry. At the beginning of each week, the Congress is in session. I send out a brief update about the bills the House of Representatives likely will consider. Now, it's not going to be too brief this week because we got a pile of them, but the bills are as follows. H.R. 2610, the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development and Related Agencies Appropriations Act. And now this bill sets the budget for the Department of Transportation and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. H.R. 2094, the School Access to Emergency Epinephrine Act, which increases the preference given in awarding asthma-related grants to states who have trained personnel to administer epinephrine to students. H.R. 2754, the Collectible Coin Protection Act, which amends the Hobby Protection Act to clarify some of the penalties and violations relating to trademarks of collectible coins and other collectibles. H.R. 1300, which extends the use of appropriations for volunteer wildlife programs sponsored by the United States Wildlife Service and NOAA until 2017. H.R. 2711, the Citizen Empowerment Act, which establishes certain procedures for conducting in-person or telephone interviews and interactions by executive branch employees with other individuals. H.R. 2579, the Government Employee Accountability Act, which would give all federal agencies the mechanisms necessary for agency heads to deal with senior executive service employees, including the ability to conduct investigative leave without pay and to carry out immediate termination. And that all stems from the IRS testimony, including the testimony of Ms. Lerner. H.R. 1660, the Government Customer Service Improvement Act, which requires the establishment of federal customer service standards and aims to improve the service provided by federal agencies. H.R. 313, the Government Spending Accountability Act, which requires each federal agency to post on its public website detailed information on conferences it attends, sets a $500,000 cap on expenditures for a single conference, prohibits any agency from paying the travel expenses for more than 50 employees for international conferences, and establishes a ceiling for agency conference travel expenses. H.R. 1541, the Common Sense in Compensation Act, which prohibits any discretionary payment to an employee which exceeds 105% of the employee's basic pay. Discretionary pay is defined as any award or increase in monetary payment. H.R. 2565, the Stop IRS Act, which expands the grounds of termination for IRS employees to include firing when an employee initiates or fails to perform an audit for personal gain or for political purpose. H.R. 2769, the Stop Playing on Citizens Cash Act, which imposes a moratorium on conferences held by the IRS. H.R. 2768, the Taxpayer Bill of Rights Act, which amends the IRS Code of 1986 to ensure that IRS employees are familiar with the Act and act in accord with certain taxpayer rights. H.R. 1897, the Vietnam Human Rights Act, which prohibits U.S. non-humanitarian assistance to the government of Vietnam unless the President certifies to Congress that the government of Vietnam has made substantial progress respecting human rights. H.R. 850, the Nuclear Iran Prevention Act of 2013. This imposes additional human rights and financial sanctions with respect to Iran. House Resolution 222, which recognizes the people and government of Jordan for their friendship with the United States and its commitment to peace in the Middle East. The motion to concur with Senate amendments to H.R. 1911, the Bipartisan Student Loan Certainty Act. The House will vote on the Senate's amendments to H.R. 1911. The bill has already passed the House previously. H.R. 1582, the Energy Consumers Relief Act, which prohibits the administrator of the EPA from implementing certain energy-related rules that are estimated to cost more than $1 billion and will cause significant adverse effects to the economy. H.R. 367, the Regulations from the Executive in Need of Scrutiny Act, which provides that major rules of the executive branch shall have no force or effect unless a joint resolution of approval is enacted into law. And finally, H.R. 2009, Keep the IRS Off Your Health Care Act, This bill prohibits the Secretary of the Treasury or any delegate of the Secretary from implementing or enforcing any provisions or amendments made by the Affordable Care Act. As always, if you have any questions or if I may be of any assistance to you or your family in any way, please contact me at perry.house.gov. That's perry.house.gov. Again, I'm Congressman Scott Perry, and I hope you have a fantastic week.